Hi, this is Crafty Carol from Crafty Carol's Cards, and I just want to show you how to make a flap card. The one on the website is part of the Back on Your Feet PDF, so you can get the instructions and measurements there. And the flap card simply has a pull flap which opens the card to reveal a hidden message. They're really simple to make. So I've made one actually for my husband for his birthday, which is in a couple of weeks' time. So that's this one with the Darling Donkeys set. This set sadly is retired. It was part of the celebration earlier in the year, but I love it, so I wanted to use it. So I've got all my bits together and I've made a lot of it up already. So I've got my base card with my white layer. I've already done my insert and stuck that in, because the bit I want to focus on is how you best sort out where and how big the flap needs to be. So I'm using Balmy Blue with some Balmy Blue DSP here, and these come in series, so this is part of the Subtles collection, and I've used Balmy Blue throughout, and I'm using again the donkeys. So I've prepared my image and I have stuck it on a background piece of card. Important for this card that you actually use a layer for your image that has a straight edge. So you can see I've cut this with one of the lovely scallop dies, but I can't use that on its own. I have to have a straight edge for this card to work. If you use the scalloped edge, it's likely to catch a little bit and not work as well, and you could damage that scallop. So use a straight edge on your pieces. So I've got my front piece, my sentiment that's going to go in there, and I've got my mechanism ready cut. So this is a 5 centimetre by 15 centimetre strip. I use the scallop tag punch to punch one end, and I have scored at 5 centimetres and 6 centimetres from the other end. And then you want to fold that, being very careful that it lines up. So I'm going to just get my foam folder, pick that up, just wash that, fold, then I'll do the second fold again, making sure it lines up so that flap is going to pull nice and straight. And that is your mechanism. It's that simple. The key with the card is working out where to place the slit that the mechanism works through. So the first thing I would do, decide which side of your DSP you want to be facing forwards, and on the opposite side, mark which is the top. So I'm just going to mark it with a T. But then I'm going to measure on this side, and I'm going to use a pencil for reasons that will become very clear soon. Now, when you stick this mechanism together, which I will show you, your image butts up against this fold, the second fold, the 6 centimetre fold. So decide roughly where you want it, and then put your prepared image on top. So I can put it on, I want it to be roughly in the middle so that it's balanced, and then I can just move the whole thing around, deciding where I want it. So I think that's a good place for it. I've still got enough of my flap sticking out, and this is roughly in the middle, or is in the middle, which is fine. Then you need to mark, so hold it down carefully and mark. Do not mark too close to here, it's got to have room to move. So I would mark somewhere around the middle, so about there and there. I'm going to put 2 pencil marks there. So that is where I'm going to put my slit. So I'm just going to show you do that. I use my trimmer. It's difficult, there's not that much room. So I'm going to use my trimmer. I'm going to place this so that my marks are showing through the gap. See that? I'll bring it down a bit. So my marks are showing through the gap, and I've got it jutted up so I know that that's straight. And then I'm actually going to tilt this so I can see properly. I'm going to bring up, without making the cut, bring my cutting blade up to across the bottom mark. Slip slightly, put it back, and then I'm just going to cut up to the top mark. And the reason I am just making this on, putting this on an angle to do that, is I need to see when I've got to the top and bottom mark. So that is my slit. I can then use my rubber to rub out my pencil marks so they won't show at all on the front. Let's get rid of that one. Now, the second most important thing, once you've worked out where your slit is you mustn't glue. So I'm going to use my pencil to show you. You don't want to glue on the bit where the mechanism's going to slide, which is this area here. So I want to keep my glue away from that area. So I've marked the area where I don't want to glue. I know which is my top still, so I'm getting there. So I'm going to put glue on all the rest of it because I want the rest of it to be stuck down pretty firmly. So I'm going to put a line of Tombow around where I've just marked there. I can go quite close to that line, and that one, and just fill in the middle a little bit. So I've glued it. You can see I've left this area completely free of glue from where the slit is across to the edge. Then I can hold that piece to put it on, line it up on your card, make sure it's nice and straight, and there we have it. We can push that down, it's glued down. So now I have my flap here. I can just, I don't want to damage the flap. So there's the flap, you can see, which I can slide my mechanism through. So now I'm going to slide the mechanism through. So it's got that nice path to run. Check it moves nicely through there, which it does. Then I'm going to stick my images on. So the first image, your top image, goes against the 6 centimetre fold. So you need to put the glue between the 6 and the 6 centimetre and the 5 centimetre fold. And I'd actually recommend that you actually use tear and tape for this, because it doesn't hold too much weight, so it doesn't matter if it's, I'll just turn that bit down. Ooh, it says tear and tape, I can't tear that one. Let me just clip it, there we go. So I don't want to get over this crease, really important. So if you're using glue for this, be very, very careful. You don't want glue to go over either edge. So I can use my tear and tape to take that off. And then I'm going to line up my image so that it's in the middle and touching that second fold. So the advantage of using glue for this is that you can then move the image if you're not sure, but be really careful, as I say. Good idea actually is to put something under here if you're going to use glue, just to make sure it doesn't get on the base. So there's the first one, and yes, it's all moving freely, which is fine. Then going to stick the second one down onto this panel here. So again, I can actually use glue. I don't know why I bent. Actually, yeah, I didn't need to. I could have just left that square. Might trim this to match, actually, we'll see. So this time I can put glue over the whole panel, and again I want to jut that up just about to the fold. Don't go over it again, so that it sticks on top of that panel. I might just round those ends because it'll just match the other one. No, I can't get that in, I'll just use scissors. Just lost my scissors. I had them a second ago. How can I have lost them? It's ridiculous. Still got another pair here. Oh, there they are. Found them. So I'll actually just use that as a marker, actually, just to cut around. Just as a thought, by the way, if you're choosing sentiments, you do want to make sure your sentiment panel is no wider than your front image, because otherwise it'll be a problem. So, oh, you might think, but how does this work? It just slides backwards and forwards. Now here's the clever bit. You want to, oh, see, that's a little bit too big there. Just because this is glue, I'm going to try and just slide it in a little bit further. There we go. So don't do what I've just done, which is make that slightly too wide. Very bad. I'm going to have to trim it down a little bit. So don't do that. Make sure you've covered it. So there we go. That's a bit better. So how to make the mechanism work is we have to put some tape on the very edge of this inner panel. So just, I'm going to use a slightly wider piece of tape actually. And again, I would use tape for this, not glue. And you want to put a piece right along the edge of it. I'm going to take that off, okay, cover off. There we go. Make sure it's not sticking out. There we go, wrap that round. So how to place that down, I'm going to bring my image right into where I want it to be, make sure it's straight, then press down through the image, and because that's held in place, you've got your flap that works just beautifully. All that remains to do is to put your ribbon on and you've got a flap card. So to put the ribbon on, I can pull the flap through, so I've got plenty of room to do it. Slide your ribbon through. You just need a short length of ribbon. I might trim this a bit, it's actually quite long, but I like to leave enough so that it's easy enough to actually pull through. If you use a bit that's too small, it's actually difficult to pull through your flap. Making sure that's nice and straight. And there is my card. Don't forget to colour your envelope as well. We always want clear envelopes. And that is how to make the flap card.